in there and I just totally missed it. Was Bonnie in there, Charlie? Was Councilmember Billings in there? Yeah. She was?
Was sitting right next to me.
Oh. Oh, you were in there. I just didn't
Me?
Yeah,
I was sleeping. So.
Oh, good. Good for you. Glad you got that.
And today it's ridiculous. I'm so tired of like all my days. All I do is read.
Yeah.
So I just
I've been listening to a lot of committees giving me nightmares.
you know, for my work, it's, I mean, of course there's terrible meetings, right? But, and they're going to pass it. So I'm like, okay. But
Can't remember.
generally for us, this is
That would I? Where do I plug in?
last year's
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Before? Okay.
I feel bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're coming to city hall today too. Yeah.
And, I think there's actually some bills that might interest them. But I want to talk to this guy.
Have you seen the list? Oh, yeah, we're I am watching those. Yeah.
So those, yeah, I just like,
I'm listening to every revenue and taxation committee.
yeah, I was supposed to do that today.
Yeah.
I didn't
Oh,
write my notes, but I didn't watch it.
Wait, because of the referendum one?
No, just because I.
Oh, no, were you going to watch because of the education referendum?
Our chairs are messed up again.
Past everything.
Do what? Well, I had to come say hi. Oh, shit, yeah. I could barely talk to you guys the other night at the meeting, so I was like, I gotta go get coffee now. Well, I can. Say hi. I told your husband we were having lunch again soon.
I just like, my life's chaos right now, but
As soon as it calms down.
Mine is too, yes.
are you guys okay with that? Yes, but let's meet. Okay.
Good.
I know, but I know you're busy.
You know what I mean?
All right.
Sorry, I just remembered that closed session discussion.
So you definitely talked about it. The only ones that I wouldn't be able to give like for sure update.
Something. Thank you.
Any of the issues we're going to have litigation threat handed over to the trust.
Okay.
With Rory being the lead with Rory being the risk manager, she has the most direct communication with the trust.
Okay.
Before it goes to litigation, once it goes to litigation, I'm generally going to handle it outside counsel. But I said I can give some.
Might even be better with Rory if she's here.
Just depends on the depth.
Yeah. Okay. Let's scrap it and talk about it. Get a game plan for the next council meeting.
Okay.
Scrap it.
Yeah. He was saying.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's like that time. Is that good?
Everything that is.
Right. Welcome, everyone, to our February 3rd, 2026 Midvale City Council meeting. We are returning from just over there where we had a workshop, a very robust discussion about some things coming to the Jordan Bluffs development area. So stay tuned for developments in that sphere. We will start, as we always do, with a Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll stand and repeat after me. Okay, do not adjust your sets at home. Rory is not here, but filling in for her tonight is the more than capable Charlie. Charlie, will you call the roll to see who's here?
Yes, Councilmember Robinson.
Here.
Mikuláš. Here. Brown.
Here.
Billings. Here. And Glover.
Here. Okay, that is all of us. We are moving on now. We have a proclamation. February is Black History Month. So I will read through our annual Midvale City proclamation proclaiming February 2026 as Black History Month. Whereas President Gerald Ford officially recognized Black History Month in 1976, calling upon the public to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. And whereas the United States designates the month of February as Black History Month, providing an opportunity for all citizens to reflect on and commemorate the rich heritage, achievements, and contributions of Black Americans to our nation. And whereas the national theme for Black History Month 2026, A Century of Black History Commemorations, honors the 100-year milestone since the establishment of the first organized observance of Black history in 1926, and recognizes the enduring impact of these commemorations, that's a tough word, in shaping national understanding and appreciation of Black history. And whereas throughout history, Black Americans have played pivotal roles in shaping the cultural, social, economic, and political fabric of the United States, contributing to the advancement of our society in a myriad of fields such as science, education, arts, music, literature, sports, and civil rights. And whereas this occasion provides an opportunity to reflect on the experiences, contributions, and resilience of the Black community, and whereas as a community we must continue to work to collectively to eradicate discrimination and prejudice, striving for a future where every individual, regardless of race, enjoys equal opportunities, justice, and dignity. And whereas Midvale City recognizes February as a time to celebrate and honor the rich tapestry of Black history while reaffirming our collective commitment to fostering a more just, inclusive, and equitable society. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that Mayor Dustin Gettle and the City Council of Midvale City do hereby proclaim February 1st through February 28th, 2026 as Black History Month in Midvale City, adopted this third day of February 26th, signed by me and all members of the City Council. Okay, moving on, we have a Unified Police Department report, and to do that is our very own Chief April Morse. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you. Good evening, Council, Mayor. So for the month of January with Unified Police Department, for the city of Midvale, we responded on 2,100 calls, roughly. About the same number of calls that we responded on this time last year. Total cases that generated, 667. We had 21 booking arrests and 181 citations were issued. The total active cases right now for our violent crimes unit is 143 with 9 additional in January. Total active cases for our special victims unit, 70 with 8 added in January, and those are Midvale specific cases. Some of those cases in the last 30 days, we had 2 significant auto pedestrian vehicle collisions. January 6th at approximately 1800 hours at 7200 South High Tech Drive. A 35-year-old female was struck by what we believe there's evidence to believe an impaired driver. She was in the crosswalk. Initially, her status was given as a Delta condition or unlikely to survive the crash. She was immediately rushed to the hospital, and at the hospital, her condition improved, upgraded. We are in communication with her family. She is making an incredible recovery, and we are super happy about that. We've connected them to resources, and we'll stay in contact with them. And the driver was arrested on about a half a dozen charges, and we are continuing that relationship through this process as they navigate the criminal justice system with the criminal case. So the next one, February 1st at approximately 6:30 in the morning, 7200 South 3rd West, an adult male. There were actually 2 men that were crossing. One was from Florida, one was from California. A Midvale driver not paying attention struck the male from Florida. So we do not believe, or it's likely that he will not survive. Our major accident team responded on that one, and they are in the middle of the investigation. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of both of these pedestrians. And if anything, please slow down and watch out for pedestrians. A lot of people walk now, ride bikes. There's people all over. Just go slow. So Hillcrest High School last week participated in a walkout protesting ICE and events surrounding that. We were not part of the protest or any part of that. However, we were present to make sure that they were safe as they exercised their right to protest. We made sure that as they walked through the city of Midvale, there was at least a presence, that folks weren't, getting too close to them with their vehicles. There were incidents up in Cottonwood Heights where people that the kids walked past came out and engaged in confrontation. So we made sure we were there to make sure that those kids were safe as they participated in that. And the high school organizer, I have to give them kudos. They did a great job supporting us, making sure it was peaceful. So some of you have seen a photograph. UPD has a new canine that has joined the force. His name is Gyro right now. Pup is 12 months old, a Belgian Malinois German Shepherd mix. So we're super excited to welcome him to the UPD family. And then we're very proud to announce that our crime victim advocate has been selected by the Utah Victim Services Commission to receive the Melvin C. Wilson Lifetime Achievement Award. So it's an incredible honor. She's amazing. The resources available just at Midvale Precinct are phenomenal, and she will be honored at their conference in April. So we're excited to send her, some of her family, and go up and watch her get that achievement. It's an incredible honor, and we're super proud of Carmen. And last but not least, tomorrow we'll be interviewing for a part-time social worker. UPD received a Department of Justice grant where we redesigned some mental health curriculum on responding to crisis calls. And as part of that grant, we were able to obtain part-time social workers, and one will be dedicated to Midvale. So we're excited to get that resource out into the field, see what they can do to help us with our crisis response, as well as some of our folks that need that assistance. So it was a busy month, but things are going very well, and that was the end of my report, unless you guys have some questions.
Any questions for Chief?
I just wanted to thank you for supporting those kids and helping them feel safe so, they can exercise their rights. I have a 6th and 8th grader that are feeling, a lot of the pressures, related to a lot of students in their area. They're really concerned, right? They would have joined if the junior high did it, and or middle school, or whatever we call our schools here. So, I'm glad that you were supportive and, allowed those kids to exercise their rights. So thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, I know we got word earlier today that a similar protest was planned for another school. I don't know if we're allowed to or should necessarily say which one, but will you be providing the same,
right?
Yes.
same
Yeah,
safety services for that school as well?
Yes, sir. We have a plan in place for that. So we were organizing that this afternoon. So we will make sure those kids are taken care of.
So, okay, I was gonna parlay into that because I think I know which school it is. And
Yeah,
so,
you're familiar with the school, and we
Yes.
will be there.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Chief? Thank you,
Great.
Chief.
Thank
Busy
you.
month. We appreciate all you do. Moving on to our annual Arts Council report, and here to do that, the illustrious Wade Walker. Chairman, President, it says here.
Yeah, chairman of the board and president. By our bylaws, we have titles and positions. And I'll just give an introduction, and I'll turn the time over to Lauren to give the bulk of our report. But yeah, I'm the chairman of the Arts Council. I'm happy to be here with several of our other board members and our executive director, Lauren Richards, to report on our activities this past year. First of all, we appreciate the city's support of the arts. And we hope that we're contributing to the quality of life here in Midvale with the activities that we put on. We appreciate Councilmember Brown's involvement on our board, and appreciate Nate Rockwood's attendance at our meetings and helping us stay informed of city issues. For those that may not know, the history of the Arts Council was started in 1985 as a volunteer organization, and it was under the city at that time. It was all budgeted under the city. All the activities were more or less controlled by the city. But In 2012, we became a separate 501c3 nonprofit organization, and at the same time, the City Council adopted a resolution recognizing the Midvale Arts Council as the official arts organization of Midvale City, and we're happy to, with that partnership, and again, to continue to provide quality activities here in the city. If you go to the next slide, we've doubled our board since last year. Which is exciting for us. And so I wanted to introduce some of our new board members. We've got Joe Darnell. You can stand up, Joe. I have to use the clicker. All right. So he's one of our new board members, but he will be serving as vice president, vice chair of our Arts Council this year. His kids have been involved in theater productions in Midvale, and he's wanted to help support us, and he works in corporate development. We're happy to have him on board. We've got Ryan Tyner. He's a Midvale resident, a classical musician, teacher. He plays in local music groups, and he's our treasurer, taking over for Stephanie Johnson in that role. We've got Brian Abel. I don't think he's here. He is a Midvale resident. You might recognize his name. He's one of the artists at the Midvale Main Art House. And so we're excited to have him on the board as well. And Rachel Glightly, she's a Midvale resident as well, photographer, graphic designer. She's already developed some marketing plans for us, and so we're excited to have these 4 new members on the board with us. And then, of course, Bob Bedore is continuing member, Bryant, myself, and Stephanie Johnson for the time being. But these 4 new board members have added a ton to our board, brought a lot of great ideas, and it's great. But every silver lining has a cloud. I don't think that's the way it's typically said, but Stephanie Johnson has turned in her resignation from the board effective June of 2026. And I wish she were here. She had another conflict, but was going to try to make it. But you can tell her all the nice things they said about her if she shows up. But I really can't say enough about the work that Stephanie has done over the past 25 years with the Arts Council. She's kept us financially sound. She's created quite an incredible culture with the arts here in Midvale. And she's been the face of the Arts Council with the city for several years. And so we just really appreciate it. And in typical Stephanie fashion, she's not leaving us high and dry. She's staying on through June to train our new treasurer and to continue to mentor Lauren in her role as executive director. So speaking of Lauren, 2025 was her first full year working for the Midvale Arts Council, and she's been incredible. And so I'm going to turn the rest of the presentation over to her to talk about our activities from this past year and our planned activities for this year.
Thank you, Wade.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, Board, Council, sorry. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to come and talk to you about what we have done this past year. Thank you, Stephanie, of course, always, forever. So we typically do 3 theater productions a year. This year, we had 26 performances total, 124 cast and crew members, and 2,692 attendees at those shows, which in our small space, 100 people in there is pretty good on average for each show. So we're pleased with that. That was kind of our stats, and these are the fun slides with the pictures from our shows. We did The Little Mermaid last year, and I just wanted to highlight a couple things about each production that we did that I think show a little bit of what we focus on at the Midvale Arts Council, what we're proud of, what we're trying to build. With this one, the director that we used always double casts. It's a lot more work for the production team, for costuming, for rehearsing 2 casts, but it gives twice as many opportunities to performers. And so that's something that we really appreciate about working with that director. And this one, the nature of the show, we had entire families performing together, which was really fun. Little kids as fish and the Under the Sea number, and it was a lot of fun. That was a big success, that show. In the summer, we did Peter and the Starcatcher, which is a lot lesser known show. Something I wanted to highlight about this one was just the community that it built. It was our smallest cast, but they are still posting on Facebook all the time that they're getting together, going to support each other in each other's shows. And this show also, I think, highlights the importance of storytelling, the power of imagination. You can see this was a very low-tech production. We've got people holding flashlights to act as starlight, and up in the right-hand corner, that's our crocodile from the Peter Pan story. Very low-tech, so you had to bring your imagination, and it really worked in our intimate space. Our junior show this past year was Beetlejuice Junior. This was a lot of fun. And a couple things to highlight from this show. Number one is just the culture that especially Steph has created around our productions. One of the parents reached out to me just organically to tell me they've done productions all over the valley, and she will always come back to Midvale because of the culture that Steph has put in place there, and that we hope to continue to have. And also with this, for every single one of our productions, we always do a pay-as-you-may night. Our prices are already about the lowest in the valley in terms of our theater productions, and at least one performance will be pay whatever you can, pay whatever you want. And a member of the cast has an extended family member who, their blended family, altogether there's 11 people. And the mom came up to me and said, "Thank you so much." They never get to go to shows as an entire family. They have to pick and choose who goes to what show, because with 11 people that you're buying tickets for, that just gets unmanageable. And so that's something that we're committed to continuing, and just making sure the arts are as accessible to everyone as possible. We had 7 concerts in the park this summer with just over 1,500 attendees in total and 77 performers featured. They were a lot of fun if you managed to make it over there. We had some of our favorites return: James Romero, Channel Z, the 23rd Army Band. We're currently accepting applications for this summer's concert series. We're excited about that. And I just had a couple clips of people dancing at the shows. Just always my favorite part. Our visual and literary arts show held at the end of July in conjunction with Harvest Days. This year we had 33 artists presenting 67 different artworks. 48% of the artists were Midvale residents, which I think is pretty great. Ages 3 to, I thought it impolite to ask. But we had all ages represented at our visual arts show. We've also been doing a literary arts flash fiction, flash poetry contest. We improved our participation over from the year before by about 30%, hoping to grow that even more this coming year. We had 18 writers who submitted 25 poems and stories, everywhere from Midvale to Switzerland. We had a participant from Switzerland who, I think she won first place for her story. So, and we had an 11-year-old Best in Show winner. She wrote an incredibly cute story, and that was really fun to have.
It should be noted, it was very good.
It was very
Not just
good.
like, oh, this is an 11-year-old story. Like, Stephanie read it, and it was an incredible, like, a Midvale resident, right?
Yeah.
Right, like, very, very talented young lady.
Yeah.
So it should be noted that, I just want to make sure, when you say 11-year-old, you're like, oh, it might be cute.
This wasn't us trying to be cute.
Yeah, it was
this
very
was,
good. It was very, very good.
It was a good story. We just have a few pictures of some of the art from the show. Just really talented people in our community, and it's so fun to see that highlighted and have everybody come together and appreciate that. This year, you can't hear the sound, but we had a string quartet accompanying the art show this year, which I think really elevated it. On that same night, we celebrated Suzanne Walker, added her to our Hall of Honors. Of course, the Midvale Arts Council would not exist without her and Wade, and so wanted to honor her contributions. Sister Marionette even showed up, a little nun puppet. And we participated in the events on Main Street as well. Last year, we held a chalk art contest as part of the Mural Festival, and just incredible pieces of art that people created in four or 5 hours. Some really cool things, and we hope to expand that this coming year as well. And we participated in the trick or treat on Main Street. That was happening at the same time as our Beetlejuice show, so we had the cast do a little number, song and dance, throughout the event, and we had a big painting cube for kids to come and paint Beetlejuice and get excited about the show. So as always, we are so grateful for the use of the beautiful Midvale Performing Arts Center. We try to be good residents there, good stewards. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to facilities for always responding to our requests, keeping the building up, and yeah. We are excited about what's coming up in 2026, our 2026 theater season. We just started rehearsing for 9 to 5, the musical, which is going to be a lot of fun. If you don't know that, it's Dolly Parton. She wrote all the songs. It's going to be great. And our junior show will be The Lion King Jr. If you know any kids age 5 to 18 that belong on the stage, send them our way. We're going to have a lot of fun. And for the first time ever, we're going to do a senior show this year. We're doing Guys and Dolls Senior, where all cast members must be 55 and up. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're also doing a classical music festival in May. This will be the first time we're doing that. You can watch for more information about that. It's going to be 3 nights of classical music at the Midvale Performing Arts Center, and it's going to be awesome. We've got 9 concerts in the park, expanding the chalk art with the Mural Festival, our annual Hall of Honors visual arts show, and we're hoping to expand that as well with an art crawl and our literary arts contest. So thank you so much to Midvale for the sponsorship. We also thank Salt Lake County Zoo Arts and Parks and the Utah Division of Arts and Museums. Thank you.
Thank you for all that you guys do. I did want to say I was on the Zoo Arts and Parks Tier 2 committee this year, and when your application came up, they promptly kicked me out of the room. But I believe you did get what you requested.
We did.
And,
We
yeah,
did.
they were very complimentary of what you guys have done and how accessible you make it for our community.
Can I go back to one slide? I got to tell you a story about one of these little videos. I don't know if we can restart that. Go to where they're dancing in the park. So we've had a gentleman that has come to our concert for years, Lester. He's in the blue shirt, the third screen from the left, with the red hat, dancing. And he and his wife came for years, and his wife passed away 2 or 3 years ago. But he still comes. He tells us every time that how much he misses her and he wishes she could be there. And he got up at this concert and just kind of started dancing. People were dancing. He was dancing by himself. And these 2 ladies went over and just started dancing with him because they could see he was dancing by himself. And they just went over and danced with him. And that made his year probably. But he was so excited to have had that. And I think that shows what Midvale is. And I just think it's just really cool too that kind of experience that we have that the arts provides. So I just wanted to highlight that because that was a neat moment for us. So. Any questions for us?
I have something to piggyback as like the world's okayest board member on this committee. We've had a lot of iterations of Lauren's position over time, and some have not gone well, as some of you probably remember. Actually, I don't know if most people were here for some of the more challenging situations, or people that burned out or moved. And she is phenomenal. So as great as the Art Council, we couldn't do without her. So she's integral to it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Wade. Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it. Okay, moving along to public comments. Any person wishing to comment on any item not otherwise scheduled for a public hearing, which we have 2 on the agenda tonight, may address the city council at this point. Just come up to the microphone, state your name for the record, and you'll be given the fastest 3 minutes of the evening.
Okay. Sue Armitage. I'm here on behalf of the community council asking if anyone knows who I could talk to about reviving the Cinco de Mayo festival. I didn't live in Midvale while it was going. I don't know who organized it. I understand the guy who did has passed away. I don't know if there's maybe a Hispanic business association here who might have information, or any longtime residents or neighbors. I'm going to ask on the Midvale residents Facebook page and the Midvale neighbors Facebook pages to see if anybody has information. But it's something we would really like to do earlier in the year to kind of balance the Harvest Festival toward the end of the summer, and also to represent the Hispanic community and have them participate in something cultural for them. I think there's a few council members who have my contact information, so reach out to them if you have any information for me or can point me in a direction. I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Sue, just to answer your question, and not to divulge any information that hasn't been shared yet, but the new chair of the Midvale Community Council, Spencer Mears, reached out to me and asked for the names of the folks who used to do the Cinco de Mayo festival. I gave their contact information to him earlier today. That's a place to start anyway, not to say that they're interested in doing it again, but, I did pass that info along to Spencer, and I think the elected officials up here, we've often said that we see a great benefit in revitalizing the Cinco de Mayo festival here in Midvale.
Well, that's outstanding. Spencer also asked me to ask the city council. So he just didn't pass along to me that he'd gotten some information.
Yeah. To be fair, it was late breaking today.
Yes.
And I do want to note Stephanie Johnson has entered the building. Stephanie. Well, Wade said, and Lauren said, such great things about you, and we appreciate your years of service to the council. And if you want to come up and say something, now is your time.
You could sing it. You could sing a tune. We'd be okay with that.
I probably won't.
Oh, okay. Well, the offer was there.
And just state your name for the record.
You bet. I'm Stephanie Johnson, former treasurer of the Midvale Arts Council. It has been an honor and a privilege to work with Midvale City for so long, to work with the Arts Council. You have an Arts Council who loves the arts, and they're in good hands. And thank you for the support over the many, many years, and I can only imagine it will continue. So, thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Our Arts Council is so great. One of the board members, Bob Bador, is a West Jordan City Council member, and even though West Jordan has its own Arts Council, he chooses to be on ours. So that's a good endorsement. Is there anyone else who'd like to give public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to council reports, and we'll start with District 1, Councilmember Bonnie Billings.
Nothing today, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. District 2, Councilmember Paul Glover.
I would like to personally thank the Arts Council. They've done, I was here when they started the thing. But I appreciate all that you do and all the hard work you do. It helps Midvale City. Thank you. That's all.
And Paul, I think you're going to try out for Guys and Dolls Senior, or?
You've never heard me sing.
Yet.
All right, moving on to District 3, Councilmember Heidi Robinson.
Sorry, Councilmember Glover's just down here telling jokes. I too wanted to thank the Arts Council and just Stephanie particularly. I'm going to call you out at the moment. Just thank you so much for everything you've done these are not successful, I don't want to say operations, but endeavors without people such as yourself. And I think it needs to be said, it needs to be appreciated. And whatever you have, if you could sprinkle it more, it would be fantastic. Yeah, thank you. And then I also, too, just wanted to thank you, PD, again, for making sure that the kids that decided to exercise their right to protest were safe and everything went well. And I also want to tell the kids, good job. Way to exercise your rights and peacefully protest things. I think maybe more people should take notes, but that's all I have tonight, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember. And moving on to District 4, Councilmember Bryant Brown.
Yeah, I just have two things. I think one thing, and I find it unfair because I love Midvale, but we are always battling a perception issue, right? Like, oh, it's Midvale. You know, Sandy's nicer or Murray's nicer. I think we had this lesson a few years ago about the hygiene factor, and something I noticed this week that maybe we should look into long-term is related to, specifically at this moment, is our street signs. So we have quite a few that are kind of unreadable, like Princeton Monroe or along Center. We have a lot that are readable, but like our Midvale logo is worn off totally, right? So it's not necessarily that the sign doesn't say Adams Street or whatever. It just, like, right by our house on Garden View, the Midvale logo's gone, right? And the reason why I bring this up is what we Midvale people call Wasatch and Sandy people call 80th. If you drive, which is such a Midvale thing that we have that, and I love it. If you know, west of state, our signs say Wasatch and the number. If you drive east of state, we have two that say Wasatch and the number, a different font than the west side. Then a bunch of ours just say 80th, right? So we have these really inconsistent ones, and a bunch of them are like the logos worn off. As soon as you hit Sandy, they are all these beautiful, perfect signs, right? The logo's perfect. There's not one that's faded at all, right? And obviously, we don't have unlimited funds. I have noticed some cities recently, like West Valley, they've switched to a white sign with black lettering. A bunch of cities are switching to like blue, which no one likes the color blue, so I don't know why anyone would do that. But yeah, right, see, so I don't know, what I'm getting at is, I know we're on it normally, maybe the vendor we use that does like the logo isn't great or something?
No, so we've been working on a plan. We've set a grid system within the city to have 10 different grids. Life cycle of a sign is about 10 years.
Okay.
We've just received quotes to do the first segment. It's a little bit more than our sign budget, so we will probably be asking for an increase come budget time. Okay. But yeah, that plan is in place, and it will be, the city is fully replaced over a 10-year period.
Cool. Yeah, just because I want to be like, we're cooler than Sandy, and then like, if you're driving down Wasatch, we're like, man, we look.
However, the consistency note I wrote down so that we can make sure that if it says 80th or Wasatch, we're consistent one way or the other, so.
Okay, appreciate that. And man, I don't want to get emotional up here, but I'm afraid it's just going to be the year. The second point I want to make, I want to piggyback on Heidi's point. And I kind of mentioned, you know, my two daughters are very aware of a lot of situations that parents have never had to talk to their kids about. And what we've seen in Minnesota the last 2 weeks is just a crime against humanity. And I feel like I have to stand on my little soapbox every week until it's fixed. I don't think it changes much, but I firmly believe morally and ethically that the only path forward is ICE needs to be abolished. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember. We appreciate your passion, as always. Moving on to Council District 5, Denise Mikulash.
Well, Bryant always tees it off for me real well. No, I thank you, PD, for all supporting the protesting, the peaceful protesting, but everyone in our city. I know how devoted you guys are to the city, making sure it's safe. I agree. I'm so proud when I heard about the students. And that we still continue to have that right to do it, and we're using it, and it needs to continue because there is inhumanity that's happening here. But what I did want to say is over the past week or so, I've been working with the Gardner Group on the development in Jordan Bluffs. Lots of good excitement happening there. That is like the one major big spot in Midvale that hasn't been developed. So part of that we're talking about is home ownership, which is huge. very much needed. And on that note, I want to remind everyone that we've got 2 housing programs. So you probably saw it on social, other places, but please, please take advantage of it because homeownership is so important with that. And other than that, I want to say thank you to the Midvale City Arts Council too. Attended several of those events and had a lot of fun and can't wait for next year. So thank you for all your hard work.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember. For my report, I will also thank the Arts Council yet again for all that you do. Especially the Beetlejuice was especially entertaining, and what they did, such a tie-in to the Halloween Main Street event too. So thank you, and thank all of the cast members as well. And to piggyback on both Councilmember Robinson and Brown, I do want to thank UPD again for supporting those students. I also think it's worth shouting out the school district itself and allowing those students to exercise their right to protest. And I stand with those students and stand with any students who do a similar protest tomorrow or in the coming days. Other than that, I want some quick hits here. One good piece of news to come from the Unified Police Department, of which there are many. But earlier last week, we found out that, and I kind of mentioned it and said I couldn't tell you guys about it because it was a closed session type thing. But now that it's out in the open, UPD is looking to expand services into some of the local Intermountain hospitals and Intermountain healthcare facilities and providing security police services in those places, and they will pay into the shared services. And so it will be, in my opinion, and in the opinion of Maz and Chief Morse, definitely one of those things that's going to be a net positive for UPD. It is going to be a trial 6-month or so period, just to make sure everything is working out for them, working out for us. But the possibilities of expanding into Intermountain facilities doesn't just stop in Salt Lake County. There are Intermountain facilities all the way to St. George. So it could be quite the ability for us to expand in a way that also almost creates its own precinct, and which would be just for those Intermountain facilities. And then if Intermountain's happy with the services, which they will be, because why wouldn't they be, we could also have that discussion with other healthcare providers in the state. So definitely good news on that front, and we'll have some more information. I think the jobs have been put out. There's going to start with 2 officers who that's going to be their primary focus, and we'll see where it goes from there. But the fact that they are going to pay into the shared services, I think, is quite the boon to the organization. Looking forward to seeing how that goes. Second thing I wanted to mention, related to UPD and the report that Chief gave, there's been quite the number of pedestrian accidents, not just in Midvale. I mean, we've had 2 over the past month and a half or so, but we've seen fatal auto pedestrian accidents in South Salt Lake City, Sandy. So it definitely, in my opinion, as someone who walks quite a bit, I always say walking is my preferred mode of transportation. But, I used to have the mindset as a pedestrian, well, I'm a pedestrian, this is my crosswalk, I'm just going to go without, I shouldn't say that out loud, but, sometimes you just get that mindset, I'm the pedestrian here, this is my crosswalk, so, cars be damned. But we have to definitely, in Utah, there's still quite the learning curve for, I think, a lot of motorists who aren't used to seeing so many pedestrians in so many different areas across every city in this valley. So obviously, if you're in a car, you definitely have the advantage versus a pedestrian, so you should be much more aware of your surroundings driving a car. But also, we as pedestrians need to make sure that the insurance policy is making sure that when you're in a crosswalk, that you're not just assuming that everything is safe because you're in a crosswalk. There are often cars who are distracted, as has been the case in some of these instances occurrences that we've seen over the past few months. Speeding is a concern as well, but as a pedestrian, you just have to be very, very aware of your surroundings, even in familiar territory where you think that you're safe. So I just wanted to put that out there to those in the room, those who may be watching, that just because you're the pedestrian and yes, you have the right of way, that means nothing when the car turns into you and hits you. You need to be a little bit more vigilant about your surroundings as well. And I need to do a better job of that myself. So I commit to you that I will do a better job of it, and hopefully those of us who choose to walk or bike or any sort of outdoor recreation are more aware of the cars around us. That is it for my report. We'll move on to City Manager report. City Manager Matt Dahl.
Excuse me, I have nothing that hasn't already been discussed tonight.
I'll write that down as a first. Matt does not have anything to add. Thank you. Wow, quite the laughter here. Okay. I've got more.
He should have just started repeating what you said. That would have been.
Moving on, we have 2 public hearings tonight. The first of which is to receive public comment regarding a code text amendment that modifies the Midvale Municipal Code Section 17-7-17.3 TODO zone to provide design flexibility for the commercial mixed-use requirement. And here to discuss that already at the podium is Wendelin. Guten Abend.
Guten Abend. So this amendment has really 4 goals. And the goals are, first of all, to change the basis for that we are using to determine the mixed-use requirements. The background is the following. Currently, the requirement is based on the building footprint area. Over time, we found out that it makes it really hard to actually meet the requirement for a project because most projects have podium parking, which means a lot of the first floor within the building is used for parking. So if we say, but we want 50% of this floor area as retail or commercial use, the economics don't work. And so we started thinking within the department and came to the conclusion as a city, what we really want is the building facades to be taken up by these, retail or commercial users, because that's what really activates the street. And so that's really the main thrust of this change. Everything else sort of flows from that. The second part here is that with this change, one could have a concern that maybe some applicants are so interested in a multi-story building that has lots of residential units that they sort of neglect the commercial space. So we try to put a safeguard in there, and the safeguard is that this commercial space needs to be at least 25 feet deep. The next item is that we built in some flexibility into this requirement, clustering. So what that means is, if you imagine you have a corner lot and one portion is on a major street, the other portion of the property fronts onto a side street, that the developer has the ability to put more than the minimum requirement on one of the building ends. So, but it doesn't affect how much they have to provide overall. It's just, it gives them the ability to move things onto the street that's a higher level street. And I will show you a little more background on this. And then the last item that this amendment adds is that Center Street is added to the locations where we do request that the development does not have office space on the main floor. While office is great, it doesn't activate the street. And we have seen that in downtown here, and we made a similar change a while ago in the form-based code area.
Because you said, well, so I think there are probably existing first-story office use on Center. I'm guessing they would just be grandfathered in, right, if there's a change?
Yes, so whenever an ordinance changes, then existing users are grandfathered in.
Okay.
Now, and you have to remember, this is just for the TODO zone. So we really don't have, on Center Street right now, we have the TOD zone, but there isn't really anything in the TODO.
Okay.
So this map here, just as a reminder, within this part of the code, we basically have two categories. If a property is shown on these maps in the sort of burgundy color, then there is a requirement to provide the commercial space on the main floor. If there's a property that's zoned TODO, but it's not shown on these maps, then there isn't necessarily a requirement, but there's an incentive mechanism in the ordinance. And this year I added that to sort of help you get a visual where in the city the main roads are, onto which one could cluster one's requirement. So it's basically everything that has a more intense color, only the sort of the fainter green color, those roads don't apply to that. And then here is the language in and of itself. It's a little complex, so I try to maybe make that a little more decipherable. So on the left column is the current language, which reads that a minimum of 50% of the building footprint is provided as office, retail, or restaurant use. Then our new language is that a minimum of 65% of the street-facing building facade is provided as office, retail, or restaurant uses. And then the next item here is the idea that we want a minimum depth, which is 25 feet. And then the next chunk here in the language is all about the clustering. And then on the bottom here, that's where we are also adding Center Street to the areas where there shouldn't be office on the main floor. And then this gets carried on to the next paragraph. This is paragraph G. In paragraph H, we have the same. The only difference is that paragraph H that's the paragraph that gives you the incentive in case the property is not located in one of the areas where the mixed use is required. And so that's really everything there is to this amendment. Do you have any questions?
I think it's great. I get the intent. I would like to know so if there's no, in theory, if there was no pedestal parking and the building was 100 square feet, the old zone would be 50 square feet would have to be retail, right? Mm-hmm. Now, so I would prefer if the code sort of read like, kind of understanding that there's pedestal parking. Mm-hmm. So in that same scenario, they essentially have to do 100% if it's under 50, right? If they only have 40 square feet available, then all 40 have to be retail, because we want 50% to be there, right? Yeah. Now, they won't hit the 50% because it's 40 square feet, but because I don't want them to math it down to all of a sudden there's this big building and only there's a tiny little ice cream shop because they purposely, well, we're gonna put as much parking underneath as possible. And I get that there's this 25-foot depth. But I feel like our intent was we wanted half there, understood that that's not practical. Well, if they don't hit that number, pretty much all of that on the street facing should be retail, up to that number, right? So if in that same hypothetical, 60 feet is available plus the parking, then the 10 feet they can do whatever they want with. But our initial intent was to get that much. This feels like they could math it down to something really little, or I'm kind of misunderstanding. I'm like, a big running joke is people good with math that get good grades become doctors, and those aren't become attorneys. So I fit into that very well. So I could be wrong with kind of understanding the math, but I just want to make sure we don't get that scenario. And then we go, crap, here's this big building, and the only thing we get is this little thing.
Yeah. Do you want me to add,
Yes.
to respond to that? I think what we are trying to do is to change the approach so that we get hopefully actually more of what we really prioritize the most,
Right.
Versus not having any projects. Because that's what's
very blunt.
yeah, because that's what has happened whenever we've had concepts that came to us. It's always come to this impasse where we said, well, 50%, and the applicant said we just simply can't. Even though we are incentivizing these things through very, very high densities.
And I think the planning commission discussion on this, what they liked about it and what I agree is that the goal was to have, businesses that are engaging, right?
Yeah.
Which is to your point, but also making it attainable for businesses to be able to get in there because the 50% was just too much. So this was a nice, because they're like, we could have made it even smaller and it would have just been a display front. And they're like, we don't want that, right? So I think there was good discussion on this. And here's my thought is why not test this out, see what the interest is, and we could always change it, right? If we find we're not getting what we need.
Yeah, I guess, the first project, and if they do put the equivalent of a display, I mean, it stinks because if it's a big spot that they won't ever change it again. I mean, that would be unfortunate, but I just want to make sure that's 65. It could be 70 or 60. Like, I just want to know the genesis of that number and what we think that looks like.
Yeah, so we did some research. I mean, we talked with people, and I mean, in the end, honestly, is there a precise scientific way to peg down that number? Unfortunately not. But the feeling on the staff side was that it controls for the concern that you have, that overall we may get less, but we get more where it matters for the streetscape.
Okay.
And of course, there's always, market forces. If it's a good business idea, then we may get a lot more.
Right.
So.
Any other questions for Wendelin? Okay. Seeing none, this is a public hearing, so I will entertain a motion from council to open this to public comment.
Mayor, I can't think. Mayor, would like to open a public hearing?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is that a roll call? No roll call. All those in favor of opening to public comment, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Are there any opposed? Okay, this is open to public comment. If anyone would like to comment on this item, please step up to the microphone now, and you'll be given 3 minutes. And just state your name for the record, Luke.
Hi, my name is Luke Maines. I'm a resident of District 5. I just want to speak in support of the mixed-use housing initiatives that the city has. I appreciate that you have those, and I appreciate that you're working to make them get used. I know that it can be tricky with the different things here. I don't know necessarily if this specific amendment or not will actually help to get real mixed-use things into thing, but I think it's a good, I really appreciate that the city is trying and willing to adjust their approach and continue to experiment with this to find what actually results in what we want, which is, or what I want, which is real mixed use in the real world that we can see and that can act as a model for hopefully future developments, because I do believe that this is the actually the best way to build communities that people want to live in. And so I'm hopeful that if we can get something that is a real example of this, and I really appreciate you, Bryant, for, or Councilmember Brown, for fighting to make sure that this isn't going to be just dismissed by developers and minimized to the point where it doesn't actually do that. But I think if we can get something that actually does provide that in a real world scenario, it could lead to some lasting change. So thank you for your consideration, and I trust whatever the council does here will be the best decision going forward.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank you, Luke. And I will say, as Vendelin mentioned, this has been, a pressure point with some developers who want to develop this type of mixed use, and this will probably, hopefully, and we can adjust if not, help in those projects. So, is there anyone else who'd like to address the council? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close public comment.
Motion to close public comment.
Second?
Okay, a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, public comment is over for this item. There is a recommended motion on the board for council to consider.
Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance number 2026-0-03, which adopts a code text amendment that modifies Midvale Municipal Code Section 17-7-17.3 TODO zone to provide design flexibility for the commercial mixed-use requirement.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Charlie, will you call the yeas and nays?
Councilmember Glover,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Brown,
Yes.
Micolash,
Yes.
and Billings.
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously. Vendelin, you can go sign some of those development deals. Thank you for your time and efforts, Vendelin. Moving on to our second public hearing tonight, receive public comment regarding a zoning map amendment to the transit-oriented development TOD zone to the State Street SSC zone of approximately 2.17 acres located at 7634 South, 7636 South, 7638 South, and 7640 to 7642 South State Street. And here to discuss this is Jonathan. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thanks, Mayor. I always seem to have the ones that are a mouthful for you to say.
Yeah, thanks.
So like you said, this is for a zoning map amendment or rezone for 4 properties on State Street. I've got them highlighted here just so you can kind of see what it is. It's just existing commercial buildings. It's in the blue there. Here's it again in the zoning map. The TOD zone is the light purple, and the State Street zone to the north of those is the State Street zone. And then as well as just where, for our general plan, the 2016 general plan, this is roughly where it falls in that. It's in the mid-State Street area, which I kind of touched on in my staff report. I wanted to go into this a little bit. So the main difference between the TOD and State Street zone is the State Street zone allows for a greater variety of commercial uses. I've got them highlighted here on a couple of slides for which ones would be additional that would be allowed on this property if it were to be rezoned. So like an assembly use, car wash, cafe, deli, etc. A number of itinerant merchants, master plan development, oddly enough, funeral homes, nurseries, etc. And the applicant who is here tonight as well, if you have questions for him, they are seeking this rezone because they wish to operate a vehicle sales business out of one of the buildings on, I'll click back to the properties and I can show you which one. Out of the back building here, they wish to operate a vehicle sales business, which is the purpose of this rezone, as the TOD zone does not permit that. We've discussed this at length as staff. We believe that this can meet the requirements of the rezone criteria that we have. Specifically, it promotes the objectives of the general plan of the Mid-State Street area to provide for a commercial kind of opportunity zone for businesses, as well as promote, keep the tax base intact with, as sales tax is slowly dropping with the way trends are going. But this could help potentially aid that in the meantime until, further development comes along. I did have, I'll click back a slide, a number of people reach out with comments. There was one, I know Rory sent it to me. I don't know if she sent it all to you guys. Somebody expressed some concern about lighting. Let me pull it up here. Of the potential business. I mean, these are existing buildings, so whatever lighting is there, if they're not compliant to the zone, obviously we would correct that with our code enforcement officer. And I exchanged a few emails with a resident. They had some questions about just, obviously these are existing commercial properties. There's businesses that run out of them. There was a question about the State Street plan, so the State Street study that was done a couple years ago, I believe it was 2022, that used the council adopted some changes to the ordinance in 2024, to promote better use of the State Street. If this were to be rezoned and potentially redeveloped anytime in the future, they would be subject to those being in the State Street zone rather than TOD. So just a couple things to think about from public comment that I received as well. So any questions for me?
So like a used car sales lot, is that?
Correct.
I mean,
Yep.
Very typical for State Street, right, in that area.
We have a number of them, yes.
So I have mixed feelings on that because we didn't have, when that code was passed, to exclude that, I think people want to see something besides used car
Totally.
sales in an area. So there was an intentional, probably, exclusion. Right?
For the TOD zone?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So I personally don't see, I mean, it's an interesting thing to sort of retrade where, there's vision, right? But that's my personal belief, right? Like I'm not always of the opinion that we have to put something in right away, right?
Totally.
As a group, I can't remember what iteration of staff, right? Like I think there was talks about, kind of limiting, that, because especially in that area, there's a lot and they come in and out and not always the most attractive and generate a lot of use, but.
And just the wide expanse of more concrete.
Yeah.
It's just concrete.
Yep.
That, I don't see any road activation by just another car lot,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Question is that area, there's a big area there, but it's all mostly for parking at this time.
Yes, yeah, it's all pretty
So
much asphalt and buildings.
Where are they going to put the cars?
There's a number, this is a pretty recent aerial, but there is a number of parking stalls, and then obviously they're at this building. They're limited as to how many they can use. I don't know if they have shared agreements or whatnot. Obviously, we haven't gotten to that point because they don't have a business license to operate there at all, as it's not an allowed use. So it would be something that would be determined upon then if they can meet those.
Well, it makes a difference to me if it's out on State Street where they're putting all
Right.
the cars, or if the cars are back
Yeah.
by the buildings. That's the big difference is how it's going to look.
Right.
But
I think this aerial just proves my point.
Yeah.
That's a lot of concrete in that area, and I don't think, I mean, it was intentionally left out. Car lots were intentionally left out because of this.
Any other questions for Jonathan or staff? This is also a public hearing, so if there are no other questions, entertain a motion to open this to public comment.
motion to move to open public comment?
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, we are in public comment. If there's anyone from the public who would like to comment, that's the point of public comment. Just step up to the microphone and you'll be given 3 minutes.
I'm still Sue Armitage.
Can you pull the mic down, Sue? There you go.
Sure.
Thank you.
I have similar concerns to Councilwoman Robertson about the concrete fronting State Street and another car lot. Seems like between South Salt Lake and Sandy, there are just a plethora of small used car lots. And personally, I just don't like the aesthetic. They might be allowed, you can do what you want, but I'm not in favor of another used car lot. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Still Sue. Come on up and just state your name for the record.
Paul Jones, I'm the applicant, and so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to ask me any questions, but I do want to just state it's not a car lot. It's a little bit of a non-traditional use of. They basically sell on the internet, meet the consumer at the location, and so the cars are basically purchased, listed online. The consumer comes to the lot, purchases. It's not a. There's many different businesses, so it's basically just an office space where vehicles will be sold through that method, but it's not actually a car lot. So just vehicle sales will be conducted there. So I'm happy to address any questions. I know it's public, so you probably aren't even allowed to ask
If you don't mind, thank you, Paul. We appreciate that. We'll bring you back up if there are questions from the council, but let's stick to public comment for now. Any other public comment? No? Okay, well, the applicant is here. If there are any questions from council?
Come on up.
Come on up.
Do we have to close public comment?
Yes, if there are no other public comments, I'll entertain a motion to close public comment.
Move to close public comment.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public comment is closed. This is the developer, Paul Jones. Any questions for Paul?
So the big asphalting for parking, whatever they're using it for, what kind of agreement do you have with them to use that or not use it or what?
There's a Chinese restaurant that's there, and so
Familiar with
there's a lease with the Chinese restaurant to accommodate a few parking. Again, it just isn't a car lot. It's an online method of selling cars, and so it's just there are enough spaces to accommodate bringing the vehicle to meet a customer there to pick up the car, basically inspect it, take it for a test drive, whatever they need to do, and then it's not really a car lot. So.
Are the Utah tinning and that back in there, are they moving or have they moved?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't represent the that lease, so I don't know their
Just
plans.
wondering.
So yeah, thank you.
So if it's not a car lot, how many cars are going to be on the lot to do business? Is it just one, like shows up? and-
No, it'd probably be a rotating amount of about 4 would park there simultaneously.
Are those for employees or are those for the cars that are for sale?
Those would be the cars that are for sale.
But it's not a car lot.
I would not describe it as a car lot. There are several. So again, there are the space that the primary use.
Do you connect to people? Is that more what it is? Are you like a broker? If I want to sell my car, and then you help find a person, or
Yeah.
like, is that what you're?
I mean, I don't do it. I'm an attorney who couldn't go to medical school, so I'm
Okay,
representing.
fair.
You know,
I'm just trying to understand the use case.
So what he does is he has a website that's got inventory on it, and so I would not call him a broker, right? Because a broker would be an individual would come and say, find me a Suburban, and they would find a Suburban, right? But
Yeah.
he's going out, obtaining a car that he thinks he'll make a profit on, right? Listing it, and then that's the place where the public can come to look at the car that he's got, and then He has more inventory that's not parked there. That's how I would describe it, so.
When they applied for a business license application, this was, I believe, your client's, what he wrote on his business license application. So directly quoting him, "We do car wholesale. We are a super small car dealership. We sell cars under 30 grand. We store about 10 cars on our lot and try to sell them by the end of the month. We are owned by the 21-year-old Marshall Quinton, who loves loves the automotive space. We also sell cars retail to our customers at an unbeatable price." So that's a direct quote from the business license application.
How long has he been in business?
Oh, I mean, he was out in Sandy, I believe, at another location, and was moving to this location. So he's been, in business for a few years, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Paul? Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. There is a motion in the packet, but if there's more discussion from council.
So I just wanted to mention, when I started, there was a TOD zone. There's a lot of emotion around it, and we made a lot of adjustments and changes. We also created a TODO overlay, right? And a lot of things along those lines. It caused, we still hate the townhomes behind us, right? Sometimes those get built and they're fine. Some of them we like, the orange ones we still hate. It would seem kind of disingenuous to quickly give up. The idea is we need the area in that to be something else, right? Mixed use is something I always talk about, but it's this kind of walkable use to tracks. And this, in my opinion, would feel like quickly giving up on that. And why did we even allow it, right by people to begin with? Well, it just looks like, well, there was an applicant that asked and we said yes, opposed to we have this bigger master plan, right? So that's just some background on the TOD zone. I think that was maybe the biggest we've ever seen people come in, right? We had like 30 or 40 people. So I was kind of against it at first, and now I feel like I committed to it, and I would actually want to see it work. So it would be a little disheartening to all of a sudden be like, well, actually, it's just so fungible. But that's, how I view it.
But I agree with you on that. I think we also need to give this time. We were trying to encourage a very specific type of development and also add a certain level of walkability and vitalization to this area. And especially where this is an online business, this isn't even going to provide any of that. There's not going to be people walking around or anything like that. So I think, to Councilmember Brown's point, for me, I think we need to give this more time and stand behind it.
Can I see the map that shows the?
Which one?
This one. So anything in that purple zone this ordinance would affect?
So the TOD zone is the light purple.
Yes.
It's moving it out of TOD, right? Isn't that what
Yes, yeah, that's what it would be for,
okay.
is basically turning those 4 properties, and instead of being zoned in the TOD, it'd be the State Street zone. Yeah. And to your point, was it the TODO or TOD zone that you were talking about?
Well, we went through iterations, right? Yeah.
Right, over here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what you were circling is the one that people have a hard time with still.
So I don't think this business would be okay just because I don't think it's going to change anything visually. But the problem is if we change it, then you could put a car lot in there.
And what would stop in the lot right south of it asking for the same thing, then I feel like we would have to say yes.
Yeah.
But I like that consistency, right? And then we're in a weird spot.
I wasn't here for any of that, but But I agree, I think the intent is to change the direction of this, and this plan is there for a purpose, and that until the plan, general plan changes, that we should continue to see what happens there.
Jonathan, what was the recommendation from the Planning Commission on this?
The Planning Commission recommended approval. I mean, it's obviously up to you guys to take that under advice, but if you want to recommend denial, so be it.
Yeah, I was just
We don't-
curious.
yeah.
to-
But yeah, that's what they
what their
recommended
thought
was,
process
yeah.
Okay, any other questions from council? There is a motion that is in the packet, or if you have a different motion, now's the time.
I'll pull up the criteria too if you want to make a different
We can
motion.
read the motion, and then we can vote one or the other, so.
I do think the person that makes the motion has to vote yes. Rory told us that last time.
Is that really true?
Because Steve Brown, I was here once with him, and he did it and voted no, and Lisa and whatever said, hey, the person that makes the motion, that's why you have to make the motion to deny.
Is that correct?
So I want to make sure.
So if we're moving to approve and then everyone votes no, I think it would be probably better if we're moving to deny, if that's the direction the council wants to go. And then the reminder would be the findings wouldn't support the motion, because if you're moving to deny, you're not following the findings that are found in the staff report. The other thing to keep in mind as well is an affirmative vote means that you're voting no. A no vote means that you would be voting yes. But it just makes things clear for,
Okay.
Crystal clear.
Especially the no.
We're going no to vote yes and yes to no.
Oh, well.
Thank you, Garrett.
The recommendation is if you are in favor of denying this, to make the motion instead of where it says authorizing, then to say denying. But if you would like to authorize it, then read as is.
Yes. Well, I'll go, and then people can vote against me, I guess. I move that we deny ordinance number 2026-0-05, authorizing I said deny, so I can keep reading, right? Yeah, authorizing a zoning map amendment from the transit-oriented development TOD zone to the State Street SSC zone for approximately 2.17 acres located at 7634 South, 7636 South, 7638 South, and 7640 through 42 South State Street due to it not being consistent with the city master plan.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and just for clarification then, an aye vote will be to deny, a no vote will be
to approve.
So, Charlie, will you call the roll?
Councilmember Robinson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Micolash,
Yes.
Billings,
Yes.
Glover.
Aye.
Okay, that has been denied, and it was a unanimous vote of the council. Moving on to the consent agenda, we have one item tonight to consider the minutes of January 20th, 2026. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor, I motion we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. Charlie, will you call the yeas and nays?
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Micolash,
Yes.
Billings,
Yes.
Glover,
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimously, as it so often does. Moving on, we have a couple of action items tonight, the first of which is to consider resolution number 2026-R08, adopting the Fashion Place West Station Area Plan. Here to discuss that is Adam. And before you ask the question, Fashion Place, wait, that's in Midvale? We wish. But tell us about it, Adam.
Well, we can do a boundary adjustment.
Approved.
Right? That's what my motion is at the end of this, actually. It's just hidden. Okay, so I'll just give you a little background. You've seen these station area plans before. This map shows all of the ones that kind of lie either wholly or touch Midvale. So you have approved station area plans for the Center Street Station, the Fort Union Station, the Bingham Junction Station, which was also done in conjunction with the Gardner Station, because the east side of that wraps into Jordan Bluffs. You might be asking why Fashion Place West. If you look at the map, the light green lies fully within Murray, and then the yellow portion lies within Midvale, and therefore we have to approve a station area plan. So what we did is we partnered with Murray. We received a grant through WFRC, the Wasatch Front Regional Council. And this one was great. There was no city cost at all. It was fully covered, largely because our area was so small. I wanted to just kind of zoom in just to kind of show you like the extent of where this covers in Midvale. So each slide gets a little closer, and you can see that as we get closer, the area almost gets smaller. So this is one zoom in, this is the next one. So you can see that this really just encompasses some properties along Cottonwood Street and 400 West. It might encompass one or two full properties, but largely just portions of other ones. And then to the west is all either I-15 right-of-way or front runner and tracks area. So that is kind of out of the plan. Now that said, and then you can see on the very southern end, it overlaps a little bit with the Fort Union, the very edge of the Fort Union Station. That said, the land use designation that the plan gives for this area and then to the area to the north in Murray along Cottonwood, basically almost all the way up to Winchester, is what they're calling a jobs and housing mixed use, which this goes right along with what we'd like to see here in the future is as this area redevelops, we'd really like to see higher densities and mixed use. Because this area is fairly adjacent to the track station to the north, and then to the south is the Fort Union track station. The natural kind of redevelopment cycle would be towards mixed use, higher density. This is an area, at least in the Fort Union Station area plan, that you, the council, were supportive of higher densities and mixed use. And so we're working towards that. One of the options that the plan lays out to work with Murray with is an HTRZ. We have had discussions with them. We've told them we're interested in doing an HTRZ. We'd love to partner if they would like to do an HTRZ to the north and have those kind of combined there at where they slightly overlap. So Murray's open to the idea. We'll see where it goes. But this station area plan, again, while largely covering Murray, does have a little portion of Midvale, and it does propose a housing and mixed use future development pattern there. The Planning Commission looked at this at their December 10th meeting. They forwarded a recommendation of approval. And so here's a potential motion for you to consider tonight.
Thank you, Adam. Any questions from council? And I do want to note, I think he's here for this item, Byron from WFRC, one of the planners, correct? Thank you for joining us. One thing I'd like to say, just real quick before this, I was in a WFRC meeting 2 weeks ago, and there are some communities much larger than Midvale talking about how they have a station area plan, one station area plan that they're considering, and that's great. We love that for them. But Midvale, 6 square miles, has 3 station area plans. And we are working with West Jordan, kind of in this similar vein as we're doing in Murray. So we have 3 of our own, and we have 2 that we are working with neighboring municipalities on collaboration. So very proud of our staff there are cities like Draper who are, have a great station area plan, but they have quite a bit more staff than we do. So we are in a great deal of debt to Vendelin and Adam and the team for all they're doing for these station area plans in Midvale. And I'm proud to say that I don't think there's another city, not even Salt Lake City and Salt Lake County, who has as many of these station area plans as little 6 square mile Midvale. So thank you for all that you guys do. The motion is on the board. Unless there's any other comments.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number 2026-R-08, adopting the Fashion Place West Station Area Plan.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Charlie, we call the yeas and nays.
Councilmember Micolash?
Yes.
Billings?
Yes.
Glover?
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Brown,
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously, and I think that means we own Fashion Place Mall now, right? No, okay. Okay. Okay.
Only the tax revenue.
Okay, moving on. One of the more interesting things on our agenda for tonight, consider ordinance number 2026-004, repealing Midvale Municipal Code, Chapter 5.24, liquidation and fire or damaged goods sales. Garrett, what the heck's this about?
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight we come with you with an ordinance that we're going to be asking you, if you're so inclined, to suspend the rules and adopt tonight. It's not very often that we're coming to you to just outright repeal an entire chapter of our code, but based on some recent events, we feel that this is appropriate. Councilman Brown had a local business reach out to him recently, and they became aware of this chapter of this code, so the liquidation and fire damaged goods sales chapter, which in order to have a liquidation sale, a going out of business sale, a fire damaged goods sale, you're required to come and get a special business license in order to do that. You have to provide a list of the entire inventory you plan on selling, and then you receive a license for 30 days. And then at the end of that time, the city double checks to make sure you've not commingled any new inventory in order to do this sale. For a variety of reasons, we just don't think that it's necessary or appropriate for the city to be involved in this space anymore. In 1973, Utah adopted the Utah Consumer Sales Practices Act, and one of the things that specifically prohibited is engaging in false types of these types of sales. All I can tell you without having to take Charlie or Rory down to the basement and dust off our old historical codes is that from what we can see on our existing code, this ordinance, this chapter has existed before 1992. In the last time we were doing legislative research to see when something existed prior to our current online version of the code was when we did the winter parking. We were able to trace that back until the 1970s, and with Utah having passed the Consumer Protection Act in 1973, it would be my educated guess that this law probably predated that as well. This is, to my knowledge, the first time anyone's ever inquired of the city about getting one of these licenses. And again, just with the logistics of doing this and the fact that the state already prohibits it and has an agency that does this type of enforcement, we feel like it would be appropriate to help. Not that we want to see any businesses leaving Midvale and having to do liquidation sales or anything along those lines, but to not, I guess for lack of better words, kick them while they're down. We believe that it would be appropriate to repeal this chapter and allow them to hold liquidation sales and to do so under the Utah State Code regulations that already exist.
Thanks, Garrett. Just some background. This gentleman, older gentleman, I called him back and told him, we're working on this. I'm like, how did you find this? And of course, the answer was ChatGPT, because it's like this weird code. But so what happened was he found it through ChatGPT. He came in to the city or called, I think he actually physically came in, and someone in permitting or whatever was like, I have no idea what you're asking me. You're like the first one that's ever done it. And he had this whole list, and she's like, this is phenomenal. Like, you're probably the most prepared person ever. And the 30-day thing was, I think, really what sort of set him up or worried him. And he must have left and looked at a map or something. She's like, well, you could, call a city council member to see if they can, change the ordinance or something. And so he's really grateful. it's an unfortunate loss to Midvale, but when he called me, I'm like, there's no way this is a code. You must have like found some other Midvale. We have businesses come and go all the time, and I doubt, they're formally applying to exit. The only thing we would worry about maybe is if your business license lapsed or something like that, and you're still trying to sell for 3 or 6 months, right? And he's like, no, it's definitely there. And then he gave it to me, and then I felt stupid. And I was like, oh, yeah, definitely there. So I think if it's something we don't ever use, and we've all seen plenty of businesses come and go, why have it on the books?
And I can confirm in the 12 years that I've been doing legal work in some capacity with the city, Councilman Brown is the first person I've ever had here at the city ask me about this chapter.
I really like to keep things interesting.
I think, just real quickly, there are benefits to having these types of consumer protection ordinances in place, but if there's a state law that supersedes, I would think, or at least addresses this, because there are businesses who you see they're going out of business every month for years, and sometimes it's just a marketing ploy to get more folks in there, and there could be some benefit to regulating that, but I personally don't see it here, especially if we haven't been doing it in a half century.
And to your point, Mayor, a number of our local other municipalities around us, in looking at their code, I could only find one that matched or was similar in how stringent their code was, and that was Cottonwood Heights. Most of the other cities have either repealed it entirely, so it doesn't exist at all within their code, or they've cut it so far back that it's under very, very specific situations under which you would have to get a type of permit or code. So your point is well taken, Mayor, that I imagine that many of these cities have taken those steps because the state has stepped in to regulate that space.
Makes sense. Any other questions from council? This would require a suspension of the rules if you're inclined to pass this ordinance repealing the code.
Mayor, I move that we suspend the rules. I'm just reading from this. Considering of ordinance number 2026-0-04, repealing Midvale Municipal Code, Chapter 5.24, liquidation and fire or damaged good sales.
Second?
Goods sales.
Okay, motion and a second, and just to clarify, which I don't think we've ever done, now we've done it twice in the same meeting, a vote for yes will repeal the code, a vote of no would favor the code remaining.
2 so far.
Charlie, will you call the yeas and nays?
Councilmember Billings,
Yes.
Glover,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Brown,
Yes.
Micolash.
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously. So we will move along to our third action item of the night, and the most patient man in the room, Brian Buckout, will consider resolution number 2026-R09, adopting the amended City of Midvale jurisdictional annex to the Salt Lake County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Thank you for remaining so patient, Brian.
Thank you. I can see it on my screen, but I can't see it on this. Let's see. That's weird.
Probably a display.
If I just keep doing that, I can see it on mine. Apologize for this.
This problem before.
Just explain it. We'll visualize it.
I
Explain
could
this on the
actually
screen.
easily do that for this one, to be honest. So if it's an issue. So thank you.
Thank you, Juan.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you. As you guys know, my name's Brian Buckout. I'm your guys' emergency management municipal planner. We've already gone, and just for the record, I'm going to be very brief on this for tonight because we have already addressed the multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan for 2025. However, FEMA, under its third revision, made some slight changes, and for a sense of formality, I've come back to you just to quickly present those changes, just for the sake of transparency, that if we make even the smallest changes to a plan, that we would come back and readdress. So just for a quick overview, what hazard mitigation is, it's a sustained action to reduce or eliminate long-term risks to human life and properties from hazards. This multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan will detail out as a roadmap to identify vulnerabilities and generate strategies to reduce risk. It also provides just an organized, well-documented evaluation for specific hazards. And it also evaluates those hazards and capabilities and set goals for each jurisdiction of the county. And as you know, Midvale has its own annex that outlines this specifically. It also outlines mitigation actions and identifies funding opportunities to help complete hazard reduction projects. And the primary purpose of mitigation planning is to systematically identify policies, actions, tools before a disaster strikes. So again, the purpose of this information is to support the community planners, emergency managers, elected officials, and the general public just to make informed decisions about land use, public infrastructure, emergency preparedness, and resolution allocations. Again, I know we already did a workshop on this in a presentation, so let's just go right into the changes. For the summary of the the change of the annex is that FEMA recommended that some of the heavy rain mitigation actions were deemed way too vague and often written as multi-hazard objectives rather than achievable mitigations. These actions were then updated and more specifically detailed on how they might mitigate heavy rain impacts. So just to give you an example of what that would be, instead of just talking to the public about flood awareness or knowing your flood zones and all that, they also say, well, we added a specific action such as sub pumps, incorporating possibly the awareness of sub pumps into the community and all that. So that's just an example of just getting a little bit more in detail that they wanted us to add in, and we added it in. The plan was required to clearly identify single lead agencies. I think originally we had several lead agencies that could have taken the helm if given the circumstance. They said, no, we want one lead agency, which makes sense in unified command that we would have one lead agency and then support agencies. So we adjusted those in the cell sheet as well. And then also the status of prior mitigation actions were updated to explain why certain actions are no longer relevant to complete entries and were previously left blank. I know this was one of the examples was the BRICS, the Building Resiliency Infrastructure and Communities Program. That has ceased to exist under FEMA, so things like that were written out. That's it. Very small, minor items. But again, for the sense of formality, I had to bring that back up to you. Sorry, I had just pretty much I was asking just for moving towards, if you do move towards adoption, this will be the final. FEMA had 3 different reviews on it, and I assure you that moving forward, anytime I work with FEMA or the state, I will double down and make sure that it's complete before they ask us to go propose, which they did. And this will serve us till 2030, the end.
Okay, we're going to hold you to that one.
Thank you.
I mean, great work, really appreciate it. Also really great that it's the maybe last one.
Thank you, Brian. We appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
This has not been discussed before, so this would require suspension as well. I mean, we have discussed a previous. That's up to Garrett. Is this just a regular?
Suspend to be safe.
Okay, sounds good. Motion is in the packet.
I move that we suspend the rules and formally adopt and implement the updated 2025 Midvale Hazard Mitigation Plan incorporating the minor revisions requested by FEMA. Second.
It's a motion and a second. I almost said Rory, sorry. Charlie, will you call this?
She needs to say the resolution.
Yeah, can we?
Oh, the resolution number.
I recognize the resolution's not in the motion, but can we incorporate, so.
Yes. Okay, I move that we suspend the rules and formally adopt and implement the updated 2025 Midvale Hazard Mitigation Plan, resolution number 2026-R-09, incorporating the minor revisions requested by FEMA.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Charlie, will you call the ayes and nays?
Councilmember Glover?
Aye.
Robinson?
Aye.
Brown?
Yes.
Micolash?
Yes.
Billings?
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you, Brian. Enjoy the rest of your evening, unless you're going to stay with us. Have a good one. All right, discussion item. We have one discussion item tonight, and that is to discuss proposed amendments to the fiscal year 2026 general fund budget and other funds as necessary. And already at the podium is Mariah Hill.
Yeah, you're gonna have to bear with me because we just finished the 25 audit. I'm doing 26 budget amendments and have started budget 27. So if I flub the year, just please bear with me. I took a double take and I was like, fiscal year 26, we're doing 27. No, I'm doing, okay.
We're just happy.
I just want to start off with this because people freaked out with the taxes, on transparency and stuff, and no one's here to see it that was here, but we're already starting to talk about this. We are already starting it. I just want you to know you're supported. I think there's a lot of transparency. Unfortunately, the public doesn't always see it.
This isn't fiscal year 27,
Right.
but I am already, yes, we
Yes,
are talking
right, we're
about
already-
it, it's
but what I
happening,
mean is
we're doing,
thinking-
yes.
We're always hearing from you on anything budget.
Yes.
More than just the week before we talk about that.
Yes, yes. Okay, for the general fund, so I'm just going to talk about the changes. You guys have the detail in your packet that shows what the full budget is. So we're increasing the general fund budget by just about $2.8 million. This, for the revenue side of this, includes property taxes because we triggered the Main Street RDA. Now we get some funds from that back to the city. It's the only RDA that distributes their property tax back to the city, so that just wasn't accounted for in the original budget. We're increasing our building permit and plan review budgets by about $76,000. We are adjusting those, this and our Class C road funds, those are restricted funds, so we're upping them to meet our expenditures, but we are already meeting and expending that, plus they both have restricted fund balance we could use if they don't meet, but they're going to. And then our use of fund balance is $2.779 million, and that's really because of some accounting voodoo. We, in our 2025 audit, moved those into the general fund, and now we're moving them back to the capital projects fund. For the expenditures, another note that when I am building our budget, I am at any given time working in 4 to 7 massive spreadsheets, and I miss things. So our merit increases were not actually included in our final budget, but I've gone through and included all of that and then made updates to actuals for the employees we have on board through this fiscal year and benefit actuals across departments. So when we did all that, it actually decreased the overall general fund budget by $17,000. We are including the coalition intern, which is a temporary position for $20,000. The coalition also had some administration funds that weren't originally budgeted for $20,000. We're budgeting for our legislative consulting services, increasing that budget by $15,000 to the actual cost. Our codification changes, I think maybe the planning department needs to calm down. That budget now is about $20,000 every time you change a code. We have to put that on our website. There's one-time GFOA training for me for $3,000. We're overlapping a public works director position for 6 weeks because of that guy over there retiring. And then our electricity and water and sewer utilities, both in the general fund and the water fund, are just coming back significantly more expensive than we projected. So there's an increase of $50,000 for that in the general fund. Again, I'm a million moving parts. I kind of missed part of a Parks employee in a rearrangement that we were doing with Public Works, getting that back in here for about $77,000. Doing some overtime adjustments across multiple departments for an increase of $8,800. Transfer to the public safety fund for the LVT trailer. That we'll have more discussion of that in the 27 budget for $24,000, and then the transfer to the capital projects. But we also had decreases. Our audit costs were $8,000 less than I were projected because we did our financial statements in-house. We had some recruitment money to move out, and then our natural gas is less while the electricity is higher. In the public safety and capital projects funds, public safety fund is increasing by $24,000 for the LVT trailer. Our capital projects fund is actually decreasing by $470,000. Our revenues, we are now accounting for a TRCC grant that we're actually collecting this year. We'll have the transfer from the general fund and a decreased use of fund balance because of that. And then some carryovers for our parks master plan and impact fees, city entryway signs. Those are projects that had previously been budgeted in previous years. And then we're decreasing the UDOT canal construction budget because we don't have construction plans at this point. In the water fund, the merit and updates to actuals for salaries and benefits impacted that. That was across the organization, but had a negative net impact on the water fund. We increased our meters and related supplies just because of development. We need more meters, so increase that by $30,000. Our electricity is increasing by $55,000, and then we need a source protection plan. That's a typo. So we've added $40,000 into our professional services there, and then have carryovers for our water master plan projects that I am assured are actually going forward this year, and I'm not going to have to carry forward those funds again since they're from 2023. In the sewer fund, same merit and updates to actuals and salaries and benefits had a net decrease. And then our sewer master plan carryover as well. You guys just approved that. And some change orders with Brandon recently. In our streetlight fund, we have had some repairs that were needed due to accidents that are kind of blowing our equipment, supplies, and maintenance budget. So we're increasing that by $40,000, and then including a streetlight master plan. It's kind of a carryover, and we've kind of increased, not kind of, and increase that budget so that hopefully that can move forward for $150,000. Both fleet and IT, I saw that and I didn't fix it, does not enter. Anyways, both had merit and updates to actuals with a net decrease. Overtime increased in the fleet fund and also had accidentally removed $20,000 of outside repairs, so putting that back in and then carrying over vehicle purchases from 2025. And then in the IT fund, we hired a part-time temporary intern in there. Any questions?
Any questions for Mariah? Okay, thank you. Appreciate all you do. We do not have, no, that's the other agenda. Never mind. We don't have a closed session tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn City Council and enter the RDA?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion and second. All those in favor of adjourning City Council meeting, say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned from City Council. Does anyone need a break before going into RDA, or should we just go straight in? Okay, going straight into the redevelopment agency in Midvale City. Welcome, everyone. We're still here. It's February 3rd, 2026. Charlie, will you call the roll to see who is still here?
Board Member Mikulash.
Here.
Billings.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
And Glover.
Here.
Okay, that is still all of us. Public comments, if there's anyone in the public, Luke, who wants to address the council at this time, step up to the microphone. You'll be given 3 minutes. Not seeing any? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have one item tonight, and that is to consider the minutes of January 6, 2026. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Charlie, will you call the yeas and nays?
Board Member Brown.
Yes.
Mikulash.
Yes.
Glover.
Aye.
Billings.
Yes.
And Robinson.
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimously. We have two discussion items. First, discussion regarding proposed Midvale Main Street Activation Grant Program. Here to discuss that is Moira Gray, the second most famous Moira, RIP Catherine O'Hara.
Absolutely.
How did you do that?
Hello, thank you for letting me present today. I forgot this was a thing. Which button do I press again? There we go. Okay, so this activation grant program came from meetings with the Midvale Main Street Business Alliance, where they were talking about different types of events that they wanted to put on and how the city could support them. And so in speaking with staff, in speaking with the Midvale Main Street Business Alliance, we decided that to create this program to kind of empower businesses to put together their own events so they can bring their own people to the street. That'll increase the foot traffic, that can increase the momentum between our city-run events without putting an extra burden on staff. And just increase the frequency of bringing people to the street and increasing our notoriety with the broader community. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Oh, darn it. Perfect. So the terms of this agreement, so this would all be reimbursement based. We would be paying them after the fact. They would have to provide all of their receipts and everything like that. We would do a maximum award of $1,000, but that cannot be more than 50% of the total event cost. So in their application, they would have to put together their budget and everything like that, and we wouldn't do more than 50%. The people who would be eligible to get these funds would be people, business owners and property owners within the Midvale Main Street community development area. And we wanted to do that just to make sure that there were people with a lot of buy-in on the street and people who truly understood the street and the mission of the street. To be eligible, they also have to be current on their property taxes if they're the property owners and business license. They have to be in good financial standing with the city and with past vendors. We added that because if someone has done, for example, a public market in the past and they did not pay the vendors that came if they were supposed to, we don't want to get a reputation for the street not, doing its due diligence with everything. And then they must have obtained all the correct licenses and permits for all of the previous events that they've done. If someone is not putting on a good event or someone is not getting their proper insurance or permits, we don't want to reward that behavior with a grant. So eligible activities, so the eligible people who can get this must be located within the community development area, but the event itself must take place on Main Street. The community development area is broad, and we wanted to make sure that we gave the opportunity to people who may be located a little off the street, but we really want Main Street, the main thoroughfare, to be the focus of this. And then the activity must be primarily focused on programming that supports the RDA's goals, and that's included in the program overview that's in your packet, but it's stuff like bring arts, education, technology opportunities to the community, create neighborhood and community unity, support the wellness of Midvale City residents, stuff like that. And then these events must be open to the public. A quick note on that, open to the public does not mean that it won't be ticketed. They could do a ticketed event if they so chose. It could be you had to pay for tickets, but it has to be, those tickets will be available to everyone. They can't just limit it to certain people. And then ineligible activities will be private events not open to the publics, and then events that have a history of sustained complaints from previous years, from residents, event vendors, city staff, stuff like that. Again, just not wanting to reward poor behavior in the past. Eligible uses of funds, in the application that they will be doing, we actually are requiring them to tell us what their marketing budget is going to be and what their marketing plan is, because all of this is about increasing how well-known Midvale Main Street is in the broader community, so we really want marketing to be a large part of that. Materials and supplies, of course, art and decorations, stipends for artists, performers, and stuff like that. And then ineligible uses of funds, staffing or operating expenses, they can't be paying themselves for the time they're putting in for this event. Profit margin, they can't be rewarding themselves for their great event by just pocketing that money. And then fundraisers that directly benefit the applicant, again, that money can't just be going to benefit them. And then another thing that we've added on there is alcohol and any alcohol paraphernalia that would go along with that. That doesn't necessarily mean that we would ban alcohol, we're just not paying for it. Selection criteria. So there will be a committee selected that will go through all of the applications and look at these specific criteria, but it's level of private investment that they are putting into the project. So if someone is wanting to do a really big event and they're putting in more than the $1,000 match, so more than $2,000, then that would definitely be something we'd be more interested in. The potential impact the project would have on the Midvale Main Street CDA, whether the applicant has been awarded activation grants in the recent past, that would count against them a little bit because we don't want it to be going to the same person multiple times a year. And then whether the applicant can demonstrate financial need. And then the selection process, they will submit their application with their project outline. There will be the Midvale Main Street Activation Advisory Board, which will consist of an RDA representative, the event coordinator, a Midvale City Community Development representative, a Midvale City Council member, and a Midvale City Senior Management representative. The advisory board will, of course, make a recommendation. This would then go before you as the RDA board, and then they would enter into an agreement with the RDA. Any questions, feedback?
Any questions for Moira?
I have some thoughts. Yes. I'm assuming we'll have all sorts of, indemnifications and whatnot in the agreement, right? Okay, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
My second thought is, since we're not running it, we're, giving financial support, and maybe it's thought of, or I could be talked out of it, but I would like it to very clearly say in the agreement that we're not endorsing the event.
Okay.
Right? Like we are helping or supporting, but I wouldn't want them to go to Facebook and stuff saying like, this is a Midvale City endorsed event, and then they don't pay their vendors, and they cause a bunch of issues. Hopefully none of that happens, but, for context, like, when I was receiving funds for my campaign, like some people would say, we'll gladly give to you, but we won't endorse you. And some said, we'll just endorse you, we won't, give you funds or whatever. And I like that first approach where, we can be involved or whatever, but I would like them to not come out and say, this is endorsed by the city. And then the ones that we do are, right?
Quick follow-up question on that. In our current agreement, we have that they would be using Midvale logos and stuff like that. Is that a no-no because it's not an endorsed event, in your view?
I don't know. I kind of open for discussion, right? Like, partially because I want us to hold on to that when we do ours, because ours are great, right? Some co-marketing or co-branding, I'm sure that'll be in the agreement that, you can only use it for these, can't be in an offensive way, blah, blah, blah. I just have seen that in other things I help with in my real job, where people take support, turn it into endorsement, and then that causes a lot of issues. Right, and then let's say an event ends up not being what we think it is, and then it's on, Facebook that, this city endorsement did or said bad things, and we're in charge of it, we can control that a little bit more. That's my only thought.
Okay.
Just want to interrupt for a second. Those of you in the room may notice it smells a bit like natural gas right now. So I believe we're having a discussion with the city manager and public works director and the chief of police in the outside. So I'm wondering if there are no further questions for Moira. If we do have one other item, but I do think it might be smart to evacuate when we can. Not that there's anything to indicate an emergency, but.
Or should we just motion to table and then adjourn?
Yeah, there's.
'Cause I was like mid-sentence and kind of was
We
like,
thought you were talking and didn't realize it.
no, I was like,
but-
this is really weird, but I'm like in the middle of talking. What do you guys think? I'd rather suspend. Do we need these tomorrow?
No.
We could do them in 2 weeks?
Yes, I should be fine. I won't speak for Aubrey.
These are both discussion
Aubrey?
items.
Are you good in 2 weeks? Okay, I motion that we table discussion item A and B for 2 weeks and adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Yes.
Any opposed?